business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so excited about my guest today. She's going to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you from the heart. What is a servant heart? The heart. Love, empathy, all that great stuff that's part of it. Now, audience, I leave homework for my audience because I want you to grow as I grow listening to my guest. Your homework today is I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself first and serve others today. Go out and go for a walk with your dog and then go serve somebody. Whatever that looks like, and what impact are you going to create with that? You can email me, let me know how that happens. I get to do this every day. It's the best feeling in the world. Such a gift. I also want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon. Join a community of thought leaders who want to change and impact the world and each other. The link will be in the show notes, so reach out to me or go to the show notes. You'll see have more information, all the information on Pantheon. With that being said, my mind's flying right now, audience, because I spent 10 minutes with this guest. She is absolutely unbelievable. So let's welcome her to the show. Hailey, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thanks so much, Steve. It is a wonderful blessing to be here with you today.
Well, you've proved to me that women are going to take over business. Guys, watch out. I'm very happy because I want to be alongside you and grow with you. And we'll get into all that. But one thing you told me before in the green room was you have this custom ChatGPT AI that you use to storytell. It's so interesting to me. Tell us all about that.
So what I've noticed with nonprofits is they have a very hard time articulating stories, and yet they're all sitting on a gold mine of them. So I thought to myself, how could I make this easier for them? Because a lot of the organizations, they don't have a designated marketing person. If they do, that person may not have even been equipped or educated in communications. And so what I have created on the back end is a custom GPT in EPIC, and that is a acronym for Engage, Persuade, Inspire, and Close. So I can take a landing page or a bunch of content that looks like chaos. When I dump it into ChatGPT, I apply my custom GPT and away it goes. And just in a matter of 30 seconds, I can articulate a beautiful story for them. It can be a brand script where I'm a Story Brand Certified Guide. It can be something that helps with their branding, their marketing, their communications, anything to do with their messaging, because it all boils down to messaging.
And you're still humanizing this. Mm-hmm. That's the big fear, the elephant in the room. Oh my God, they're going to take over humans. It's what's Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? I can't think of the movie right now. Doesn't matter. But people, you know what I mean? They're like the robots are going to take over. How does this humanize it? Because I got a nonprofit. I share all this chaos with you. What pops out? Give us a story.
Yes. So yesterday I did a webinar for Martis Solutions, and they are a tech company. They provide spreadsheets and all of this for their numbers focused leaders in the nonprofit space. So whenever you have a lot of technology or you're dealing with somebody who's extremely left brain, they have a challenge of trying to tell the story using those numbers. So one example I can use is I was actually doing a story for Star Gospel Mission, and it started out like this, the before version. Thank you for taking the time to review this case for support for the expansion of the mission services in the Lowcountry. As executive director for blah, 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 I've witnessed firsthand the escalating need for support services, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like 6 different bullet points underneath with stats and facts and, all of this stuff. And it's like, our brain is not wired to digest all of this logic up front. Our brain is wired for emotional connection first. We first make a decision on emotion, and then we back it up with logic. So I plugged what I knew about this set of content in with a story that I knew was going on as well. And I came up with this after version using the EPIC framework. Dear friend, Ethan's story began with heartbreak, but ended with hope. For years, Ethan struggled with addiction, losing not only his stability, but also his connection to the people who mattered most. When he arrived at the organization, he was looking for more than just a place to sleep. He was searching for a chance to rebuild his life. further on down, I also include the same statistics. But I've already given it context, and the version has come to life because I started with emotional connection to engage the reader. You want to give them breadcrumbs. You want to go from engage to persuade to inspire, and then closing with clarity on what the next step it is that you want them to take.
You're just writing a movie because every movie is that our Mission Impossible I just watched, and that it took us
Uh-huh.
to through this whole journey, storytelling.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you engineers out there, love you
Mhm.
guys a lot, but you're not creative. That's why I think
Mhm.
what you, or I know what you do helps, because so that's just not their DNA is creativity.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not great at all of the stuff that they do. Like I look at spreadsheets and I give it a headache. But I can take those numbers and bring them to life with a story. And so that is the real difference. And I've got other examples that I can share that it's just like, wow, um, AI, I think, is the best invention of my lifetime. It has completely transformed my business. It's revolutionized all of our lives. And so, I want to find ways to utilize it for it to be a blessing to our nonprofit leaders because they're overwhelmed, they're underpaid, they're exhausted, but they're essential. And so I feel just a passion and a calling to help them as much as I can support their work.
Nonprofit comes to you, which I'm so passionate that you're doing, because I agree with everything you said about nonprofits. I'm trying to help as many as I can. And they come to you and go, I'm struggling. You got this great XYZ product or service. I need to get out to more people. What would you tell that nonprofit?
Yeah. So again, it all comes down to messaging. What I like to do first is a marketing audit. I want to look and see what the gaps are. What are the opportunities? Let's do a SWOT analysis. It doesn't cost a lot, it doesn't take a lot of time, but what I come back with are the results of the analysis, the recommendations that their team can then go on their own and create or do for themselves. Or I also give them a proposal for what it would cost for me to help their team learn how to make those changes. So, like I said before, I want to teach them how to fish, not just give them a fish. I want to empower their team. Anyone can learn this. And so my hope is to just work myself right out of a job and then go on to the next nonprofit and help them. But yeah, it comes down to messaging. When people tell me they have a marketing problem, I said, no, you have a messaging problem. Let's get very macro about who you're talking to and how you're segmenting. I have something called the epic intro, and that starts with the problem, the solution, and the outcome. There is a story in 3 sentences. Your story does not have to be this long piece of content. And so when I teach them how to segment their audience to let's speak to specifically volunteers, let's speak to donors, and let's speak, maybe you have a campaign, a capital campaign going on. They all need specific messaging because what I see is when they throw everything in the pot, and they mix it all up, they come out with a jumbled message that doesn't speak or resonate with anyone.
And you said, I work with them and then I let them go and go. I'm paraphrasing. That's a servant's heart. Audience, if you want to model, she just showed you that. She's doing that. She's not trying to keep a nonprofit for 10 years as a client. Now, if they need her, they will. But your goal is to have them graduate and move on and do it on their own and find the next opportunity. I just love that. And I love messaging problem, not a marketing, because marketing's like sales. Those are 2 words, especially nonprofits and entrepreneurs go, oh my God, how do I do it?
Uh-huh.
To me, serving, not selling, is like marketing message or messaging problem, not marketing. So I'm going to borrow
Yes.
that. I love
Yes.
that you
Hey, you
did
go
that.
for it. Take anything that you hear from me. I want to give away as much good information as I can. Share it.
Servant Heart does that too. Give away all your IP. It'll come back. And I said this phrase yesterday on my show. I'm going to say it again. You'll give them the recipe. If you want them, if they want you to cook it, you'll come cook it. If they can do it on
That's
their
right.
own, great. I love that. You're a young mother. You started young.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young mothers that listen to this, and mothers, stay-at-home moms, and
Hmm.
single moms. What's
Hmm.
one thing you tell them about entrepreneurship that you learned back then?
Wow. Well, if it's okay, I'll share a little bit about that
Sure.
story and how that actually led to storytelling and how it's come full circle. So, uh, I was pregnant at 17. I married my high school sweetheart right out of college or right out of high school a year early. And then I had our second at 20. 14 years later, I learned that he had been living a double life. It was devastating. I had been a stay at home mom all those 14 years, and I had not completed my education, and which I always wanted to do. And then I had no work experience. So here I am with sons 11 and 13, and we're on food stamps and Medicaid. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I put food on the table for us next week so that we can actually stay in our home and eat. And so I knew that for me, education was going to be the way out. And so I started writing scholarship letters because I didn't want to go into debt. And so I ended up earning $52,000 in grants and scholarships, which paid for all three of my degrees, including an MBA. And so the irony of this is that 10 years ago, I was a student at Coastal Carolina University in the online platform. I was able to attend a women's conference where I was able to recognize the donor who had donated the endowed scholarship. I was the first recipient of this endowed scholarship for women in philanthropy and leadership at Coastal Carolina. And the speaker that year was Lisa Gibbons. I have a picture of Lisa signing her book with me sitting next to her. And guess who's going to be the speaker this year, 10 years later, on the same stage for 400 women? Yes, that will be me. And so again, my heart overflows because I want to empower all women everywhere to say, hey, it doesn't matter where you are. You just need a plan, and that will get you to the next step. You don't have to have it all mapped out. And a lot of times, we're going to get curveballs and we've got to learn to pivot. But yet, God is good. I have strong faith, and
Amen.
He continued to open those doors. And it was just me being vulnerable, sharing my story, and that's actually what continues to open the doors is storytelling.
I'm glad you mentioned all women because I wanted to talk about single mothers because that's where the difficulty, there's more challenges. But so any woman could do this, what you just went through.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've created a rewrite framework, which is a
Mm.
7-part framework about resilience and perseverance. And so every time I got knocked down, it wasn't, oh, woe is me, I'm so, I'm the victim. Yeah, I was the victim a lot of the time, but you know what? It's still up to me how I'm going to respond and how I'm going to react, and be the coffee bean. We're going to make sure that we're going to be the ones changing the setting. And there were so many circumstances that I could not change, yet I could change my perspective. And that is what changed my world. And that's all that I needed to work on. And so anyone can change their world by the perspective that they see that through.
Let's lead into servant leadership. What is your thoughts and definition of it?
I think that when you are focused on wanting the best for that person, whether you get anything in return or not, that is where your heart lies. And that is the passion that I try to live by, in saying, I see a friend here that needs support or help or encouragement. A lot of times, even if we don't have money to give, or we can still offer them encouragement through a word or through a smile, or there's just so many ways that we can uplift people in our world. And there's so much negativity out there. The emails that I send have a 50 to 70% open rate because I share valuable information, and I try to offer encouragement every single time I send an email, because we are inundated with negativity, with social media, with the news. So there's not enough good uh, news out there that's saying, hey, you know what? We don't have to be consumed with all the negativity. Let's focus on the good that's happening, because there's an awful lot of it.
Yeah, that's true. And you could be good looking, you could be very wealthy, super successful, but if you don't bring people value, then it won't last long. And I've seen
Yeah,
your
it's not
newsletters.
fulfilling.
No,
Hmm.
it's not. And people are going to walk away eventually. You go to a movie, if you don't like the movie, guess what? You're not going to stay. You're going to
Yeah,
walk away, go to the next movie that's better.
that's right. That's right.
Resiliency, perseverance, resi- you know, um, stress, all that stuff that women are dealing with, trying to be business leaders. What's a piece of advice because I know a lot of women would love to be business leaders, but they seem to keep running this wall. I hope that changes. What do you think that could help them to do that?
Figure out what unique opportunity that you have that can pair your talent and skill with the opportunity. I'm always looking for opportunities that can utilize maybe some of my experience or some of my expertise or something like that. And so if one thing that was interesting was I wanted to go into healthcare. I thought healthcare was the thing that I wanted to do. And so I got 2 degrees in healthcare and then an MBA. And then I went to manage 50 people at a hospital, which I thought I would like. I hated it. I absolutely hated it for a whole year. And I was like, this is not for me. And so I had to have the courage and confidence in myself that I could figure out how to start a business and provide for myself. And so I think for women, sometimes we lack that confidence saying, hey, I do have something unique to offer the world. And I have something to give. What could that be that I love to do every day and actually make money with it? So I'm a big fan of like the six part geniuses, figure out what lights you on fire and then say no to everything else because life is meant for us to live with passion. And I believe we are in charge of our own happiness. And so we can go find it if we really want it. It's all
Yeah,
about
and
mindset.
it is. It's huge. The subconscious as well. Why would I hire Hailey to be a speaker?
Because I know how to ignite and encourage and empower our nonprofit leaders, women, our business world, sales, marketing, communications. I do a very good job of uplifting the audience in a way that maybe some are new to. So I love to share leadership. I love to share communications and marketing, and everybody has to market themselves, whether you have a business or not. You have to learn how to communicate in a way that can cut through the noise. And so I am speaking at this Ignite Women's Conference for 400. In November, I'll be speaking to 800 nonprofit leaders. It's the Southeast Philanthropy conference and an annual meeting. And so again, like I just want to know what it is they want. Focus on what they want to get out of the conference, and then I build my talk around them. I have several areas that I can speak on, but I have frameworks like my EPIC framework. It applies to any industry, any role. And so that's the beauty of frameworks. I love to teach people how to reframe their story and then tell their story with confidence so that they can become ambassadors either for their organization or for themselves.
So if I have a plumbing company, I could take Epic and your Chat GPT and craft my story through you with that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any
And I
industry.
do it every day.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know you focus on nonprofits. It's a passion for you. I don't like to ask this question too much, but I think it's pretty apropos here. What would you tell that 17-year-old young mother who just had a baby and is getting married out just before high school? What would you tell her now? What you know now, what would you tell her back then?
Yeah.
I know it's
I would tell her not to worry so much, that it's all going to work out and that your life isn't over. You think it's over, you think you messed up, you think you disappointed everybody, but there is life after, and you will figure it out and you will rise above it.
God, thank you for being open and being in the moment here, because I knew when I asked the question it was going to hit home. But what's interesting, what I'm hearing from you is if you're a 17-year-old listening to this or a 48-year-old that's divorced, kids are out of the house, you're by, let's use that scenario, any scenario like that, there's always hope.
Always hope. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just the hope that we have for ourselves. How can we then turn and give that hope to others? Because everyone goes through a difficult time in life. After I had finally achieved the job of my dreams, I ended up in a car accident with a traumatic brain injury and a 2-year road to recovery. That was the most difficult time in my life, actually. And so it was having hope that, okay, Lord, you've brought me so far. What is the next step? And it's not on who or what I'm going to do. It's who am I becoming in the process that we need to focus on.
Thank you for sharing the fact of taking hope and share it with others. I do the same thing as you. I hear you. It's like what we've learned from our mentors, whoever's we've learned from, maybe it's God, maybe it's life, that we share those with others. So don't have to go through what you've been through. Speaking of mentors, I'm going to guess you have mentors. What have they done for you?
They have encouraged me in those tough seasons to keep on going. And when you hit a roadblock, and healing mentally, emotionally, or physically is not this linear process. You're going to have ups and you have downs, and it's a roller coaster sometimes. Even as an entrepreneur, I feel like, hey, I'm going to conquer the world. I feel really great today. And then you know what? Tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, why the heck am I doing this to myself? Just go get a job. This would be so much easier. But it's whatever God calls me to. I know that He will give me the tools. He calls us first and then He equips us. And I've always lived by that. So that gives me peace of mind knowing that He has the plan and that I don't have to have all the answers. I just need to know what my next step is. And then He will continue to guide me from there. So,
Yeah, and your passion is so powerful. God, it just exudes out of you like sweat. It's so awesome. You're just a rock star because you said something very, very apropos there. I can't even use that word. Is you wanted to quit and go back to an 8 to 5 job, but I'm going to assume you wouldn't be happy.
no, I'd be miserable because
Yeah,
that's not who I am. It's not that I don't want to be told what to do. I want to be able to impact a lot of organizations over my lifetime. And I can't do that if I'm stuck in a 9 to 5 job.
yeah,
And so, with that frustration also comes the trust factor. Okay, Lord, if you haven't built me for that, then you've got to equip me for what you have called me to. And you've got to help me level out the emotion because I'm that type A. I'm an INTJ. I like to just go go go. And when I hit burnout or when I hit that wall, it's tough. I still deal with migraines from that traumatic brain injury that I had years ago, and so that is kind of like the point where it's like, okay, I'm going too far, too fast. Okay, Lord, I'm going to be in bed today because I need to rest. And so trying to pace myself, or to put it in car terms, I need a governor. And sometimes that's what the Lord does for me.
yeah. Amen. And we're coming to the end here, but I got to ask this last question. Let's just use the women listening right now because I think women have a lot of purpose, but they can't find it. Men seem to be, because we're taught that, hey, what's your purpose? You're going to play baseball. I'm going to hit a home run. Want the team to win. We kind of grew up with sport. Not that it's different now, but you know what I'm saying. What would you tell women? How would they seek and find their purpose?
Mm, That's a tough question because sometimes I feel like I strive too much. Whereas we always feel like we have to prove ourselves over and over and over. But for women, I think we need to lean into our giftings, which a lot of us have discernment, a lot of us have that administrative gift. We need to take assessments that help us identify what our gifts are. A lot of times we don't know. But then when we take an assessment like the six geniuses or the Enneagram, we're like, oh, that's why I'm not good at this. And that's why I am good at this. So I think having to learn yourself and put the work in to study and to be an everyday learner. I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, dozens of them a month, dozens, because I will never stop this insatiable appetite that I have for learning and knowledge. And that is what gives you wisdom. You've got to learn and to constantly develop uh, that insatiable quest for knowledge and wisdom. And that's how you will learn your purpose.
You're a beautiful person, I tell you, because you brought it full circle. What did I say in the beginning, audience? Serve yourself. This is how you serve yourself, so you could be a better servant's heart for others and have that you're always thinking about, like I am. How can I bring value and grow? That's a skill that you can grow. We come to the end here, unfortunately, but I want to bring you back for part 2. There's a lot we can uncover here, but I like to end with a fun question. You listen to my podcast, you probably know the answer already, but I've reserved a table at a restaurant for you, table for 4. You'll sit in one of the chairs. So you've got 3 empty chairs. Who are you going to invite, whether they're dead or alive? And what food would you order for the table?
Hmm. I would invite my grandmother on my dad's side,
Mm,
Estelle Vollen. She passed away a number of years ago, but she was a very special person in my heart. Just encouraged me. I would love to invite Jesus as well, because I probably wouldn't say a word. I would just want to listen to what he has to say. And man, that third one, maybe Harriet Tubman, because she had such strength and courage, and oh my goodness, the what she endured. I would love to hear her perspective of back then. So, yeah, those three I would love to sit at a table and oh man, what would I order? I think some prime rib and mashed potatoes and fried okra and maybe some strawberry cake for dessert.
country girl through and through, it sounded like. Am I getting close
Amen.
there?
I am.
Yes.
Yep.
Amen. What a table too. And Jesus, I'm watching The Chosen. I'm watching it again. He asked a lot of questions, so I know he'd ask you questions. If I stuck my chair in there, he'd probably ask me questions. I'd love to learn, meet your grandmother. Sounds wonderful. I want to thank you for taking the time, being very open and transparent, but just being a beautiful soul of wanting to serve people and helping people. You're making an impact and changing this world, and I support you 1,000%.
Oh,
I know
thank you.
people listening want to connect with you. How can they do that?
Sure. They can find me at strategiesthatstick.com. And that's strategies with an S, thatstick.com. And I'm also releasing my first book next month. It's called Epic Impact Transform Your Message into a Movement. That is available for a pre sale on Amazon right now. The pre order ebook is only 99 cents. And so, if somebody wants to purchase that, that will give them all of the Epic framework and how they can apply it to their organization. And I offer a big pack of bonuses that come with it for free. So,
Look at you.
yeah,
Living that servant's heart. See what happens. She's super successful. You're not going to be broke. You're not going to be successful when you give and serve and help others. Thank you again so much, Hailey. Audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And here's why. It's a gift what just happened today. Think about it. You're listening and you're going, my friend has a nonprofit and he's got such a cool thing going on, but it's not growing. They're struggling. Take this podcast link and share it with them and go, just listen to Hailey. Oh my God, I think she's got some answers. She's awesome. And they listen, they reach out to Hailey. If they buy the book or whatever it may be, and you impacted their life, isn't that a gift? Isn't that Christmas as a 6-year-old in the morning? You go around and pick up that's what podcasts are to me. They're gifts. And let's share this out. And any other podcast, same thing. Subscribe if you feel the calling and give those links out as gifts, because that's what a servant heart does. With that being said, Hailey and I thank you all so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.